don't know if you can see the disgust on my face. The tom was already on the ground. He was down in there. I guess you can figure out what happened next. Gone. No, it's not deer season, but I'm practicing like it is. And that's what you should be doing also. If you want to take your practice sessions to the next level, stay tuned. Okay, so what am I doing? I started out practicing in my yard. And I've got a little field that I can shoot out of. Made sure the bow was right. Remember, if you saw the video, shoot your bow at least three times a week for 2 weeks. Don't make any changes to it in your groups and everything, start dialing. That's what happened. My groups came together. No changes to the bow. It's just like it was last year. But in order for us to simulate the shot, so there's no surprises, so there's no special circumstances or something different and new, you need to get into the woods. So what I'm doing, I've at least got my camouflage shirts on, long sleeve, got my safety vest on, my harness attached to the tree. I'm using my face mask that I typically use, my hat, everything else. And that way when I draw back, I've got all the gear on that I would normally use in early season, and I've got a 3D target sitting out there, and I'm having to navigate through the brush. You know, okay, can I get a shot? And then trying to release the arrow. So it's something that I'm doing consistently. It's not anything new. The last thing you want to do is, first day of the season, you get in your tree stand, you got this new face mask on, nice buck comes through here, you start drawing, and you can't see your pen because the face mask has got an adjustment. Put all your gear on. There's a big difference, and I've said it before and I've said it 1,000 times, between shooting in shorts, flip-flops, and drinking a glass of tea versus getting in the wood, getting all your gear on, and having to shoot around things. So number one, it simulates the shot, and that's what we need to be doing as close as possible. Simulations are used worldwide, in military training, in law enforcement training, in medical training. Simulation is used all the time, and it prepares professionals for that moment of truth. When I got to do something, I've been there before and done it. Just not in real life. I've done it in simulation. So get your tree stand. I got my tree stand. I'm not shooting off the ground. Remember I told you that. There's a big difference between shooting flat off the ground versus having to bend at the waist. It changes the dynamics or the mechanics of the shot, okay? So there's a big difference between shooting flat off the ground and shooting out your tree stand. So I'm in my tree stand. I got all my gear on. There's not anything new. And I'm simulating exactly what I would do if I was in the woods. That's number one. Number two is I'm in an environment. Not every day you're going to get a shot in a wide open field. Now, sometimes you will. I hunt in Ohio, and I shot a nice 11-point buck several years ago, and it was just textbook. He came out behind me, quartered away about 30 yards, stood up. There wasn't anything in my way, wide open shot, boom. But here in my home state, I'm in the woods. So I'm having to look around limbs and trees. Deer's not going to come out there and can you move forward just a little bit more? No, a little bit more, perfect. And stop in a wide open spot where there's no limbs. So I put me a 3D target out there. I got my stand set up, and this is a tree that I use on my property. I'm hunting the perimeter of my sanctuary, and I'm navigating it around. So I'm in an environment now that I'm used to. Okay, I'm still practicing out here, and I want to show you why. I'm just a little over about 20 yards away. I want you to look at something I just noticed and I had to correct on the second shot. Take a look at this. to get over these briars. This is my first shot, low. Second shot was right in the vitals where it needed to be. What I found out was, in my tree stand, now remember, when you're going to practice 360 degrees, you know, 90 degrees, 180, 270, and then, back to 0 or 360 again. Practice all the way around. That way you practice into your left, the front, your right, and the back. I noticed on that first shot, I had my foot on the front of the platform, and I was actually having to hold my bow up because I'm shooting uphill. So what's the natural tendency? The natural tendency is to drop it. So I had to make sure on that second shot that I held and followed through, because when you raise something up, the weight and gravity is wanting to pull it back down. So that's just one of the keys. That's one of the reasons why you get out there and try to simulate the shot and do as much as you can to make it realistic. Like I said before, make sure you got your safety harness on. A lot of safety harnesses out there restrict your movement, and you don't want that when you're in a tree stand. Sometimes you can't shoot to your left or your right. So make sure you've got it adjusted, and you know how much to adjust it and how high to set the belt when you get in your tree. So I'm gonna get back and do some more practicing, and I'm just gonna keep moving this 3D target around. And I'm probably gonna shoot a couple more times here and make sure I've got everything dialed in there and follow through. There's a limb, there's some leaves in the way. I've got to adjust my foot position on my tree stand. So move a little bit further out on my platform. Oh, now there, I got a little bit of opening now. I've got enough opening. Remember I talked about the arch of your arrow? The arrow's gonna drop into the target. Make sure you got enough clearance in there. And I did. And I center punched him right there. Here it is, about 15 yards. And that's not a long shot. But it gets you in the environment that you're going to be hunting in. So now you're used to that. Now you're simulating the environment. The other thing too is, number 3, you got to concentrate more. When you're shooting in your field or your backyard, the front yard, wherever you got to shoot, or at a 3D tournament, a lot of times if you're indoors or even outdoors, everything's been cleared out. It's like you got a perfect shooting lane. Not in the woods. That deer could come out any direction. And so what I'm doing is, I'm just going to move this 3D target around. I'll be up here for a few hours. I brought me some water. I'm going to take my time, move it up there. Move it up there. I'm shooting downhill, relatively level. I'm shooting uphill. You're shooting behind me. So 360 degrees of where I would normally put my tree stand, I'm going to be shooting. But it makes you concentrate more, like I said, number 2. And number 3, once you get dialed in and you're more comfortable, your confidence level is going to go through the roof. And that's key. So number 1, you're getting out in the woods, you're simulating shot. Number 2, you're in the environment you're going to be hunting in. Number 3, it makes you concentrate more. I got to get around this leaf. I'm going to have to move forward on my tree stand platform. I got an opening now. So you got to concentrate more. You got all this peripheral stuff around your vital area on the deer. You got to concentrate and release. And then number 4, it's going to build confidence. So when that big buck, when all mossy horns come to walking through, and it's the deer you're after, or any deer, doe, whatever, you draw back. And when that arrow comes back to right here, you've got the confidence that you're going to make the shot. So that's taking your practice sessions to the next level. Now you got your bow in here, you got practice taking it out of your bow holder. And I'll be honest with you, I've got a Bowtech right here. And this is the Bowtech Destroyer. And they were synonymous with breaking limbs. So this one broke too. So I've got me some Barnsdale limbs on there. Well, they're thicker. All right. So when I put my bow in there, I'm having to grip the limb lower, closer to the riser than before. So do I need to adjust my bow? And then when I tilt it up, I've got to keep it closer to the bottom of the riser to take it out. If I don't, it gets wedged in there. Hey, nothing wrong with the limbs, like the limbs, great design, but it's just one of those little nuances that, hey, you don't want to be sitting in your tree stand, you're trying to get your bow out. Go through all those scenarios, go through all those situations, and simulate that shot. And then on opening day or opening morning, you'll be ready to take your deer home. Now I know this was a short video, just some quick hard facts, but get out in the woods. Get out. I mean, you've got private land. Now obviously this is going to be hard to do on public land. You're not going to carry your 3D target and all this gear up there. Well, you know, some people might, but on private land, if you've already got tree stand location set up, it's kind of like the turkey hunting video I said, you know, if you're really familiar with an area, go ahead, you know, make you a few ground blinds. You know, someone might be using that spot when you get up there, but it don't matter. You got 2 or 3 set up. But on private land, you know it like the back of your hand, and you know the locations where you're going to be hunting. Go ahead, take your gear up there, spend several hours, and practice. Move the deer. Keep moving the deer, and shoot and practice. And then, you know, make some notes. If there's something that you need to change on your tree stand, or maybe on your gear, you know, I've been known to cut a few things out, to sew a few things, to change or modify, to where when you draw back, there's no obstruction to your vision. You can find your anchor point. You know, a lot of times with face mask, it's very difficult for the first time you use it to find your anchor point. Oh, I'm too low, I'm too high, you know, where do I need to be? And you're normally drawing right here. So remember, when you're drawing back, if you can't find it, make sure you line up your peep with your sight. We call it, in automotive, we call it concentricity. You don't want the circles to be offset. You want them to be perfectly aligned. Okay, so make sure your peep sight, the outer diameter, is lined up with the outer diameter of your sight. You'll be able to see it when you draw back your sight ring, and you're going to see the outside of your sight ring and the outside of your peep sight. Make sure they're lined up. That will help at least get you close with your anchor point. But go through all those steps, and you know, just get out in the woods. Just, you know, it's fun just to get out here, take a break, get away from everything. Now you're working all week or whatever. Get in the woods, make some shots, build that confidence, and swat a few mosquitoes. Hey, there's something else. How you coming to know? I got more mosquitoes this year. What are you going to do about that? You know. So there's a lot of things that you can improve on by taking your practice sessions to the next level. And to me, I don't know how else you can do it. I mean, a lot of times I'll jog, even in my backyard, try to get my heart rate elevated. So I got to control my breathing. And then slowly release my arrow. Because, you know, when that buck comes in or that deer comes in, yeah, the heart rate goes up. The pulse starts beating a little bit faster, and you got to control your breathing and concentrate. So I do a lot of different things to try to improve my shooting, which, let me tell you something, I need to continuously improve on that. But as deer hunters, you know, our main goal is to shoot a deer in the vitals and as quickly and as humanely harvest it. Last thing we want is an all-day tracking job. And believe me, the deer don't want that either. You want to get it through the vitals, quick recovery. You know, to me, if I know I've shot through the vitals, it's a 30-minute wait. I'll get on that trail, find the deer, okay? And then take care of business after that. You don't want one of those things where, oh man, I gut shot that deer. So go through all these steps, get ready for opening day. Hey, stick with us. We've got more videos coming up with some good information to get you ready for opening season in your state. We'll see you next time.